Welcome back, Patriots. Welcome back to Sons of Liberty 1773. I'm your host, Bill Bailey, who will be channeling the patriotism of America's founding fathers. Today is January 4th, 2024, year of our Lord. Well, once again, Joe Biden plans to defile a historical site of the American Revolution on the anniversary of the January 6th protest. You know, the Fedsurrection, where 4 American patriots, Trump supporters, were murdered by the totalitarian regime. Ashley Babbitt, Roseanne Boylan, Kevin Greenson, and Benjamin Phillips. Last year, he spewed his hatred of over 100 million American patriots from Independence Hall on the anniversary of January 6th. Remember this part of his evil oration?
And I believe it's my duty to level with you, to tell the truth, no matter how difficult, no matter how painful. And here, in my view, is what is true. MAGA Republicans do not respect the Constitution. They do not believe in the rule of law. They do not recognize the will of the people. They refuse to accept the results of a free election. And they're working right now, as I speak, in state after state, to give power to decide elections in America to partisans and cronies, empowering election deniers to undermine democracy itself. MAGA forces are determined to take this country backwards to an America where there is no right to choose, no right to privacy, no right to contraception, no right to marry who you love. They promote authoritarian leaders and they fan the flames of political violence that are a threat to our personal rights, to the pursuit of justice, to the rule of law, to the very soul of this country. They look at the mob that stormed the United States Capitol on January 6th, brutally attacking law enforcement, not as insurrectionists who placed a dagger at the throat of our democracy, but they look at them as patriots. And they see their MAGA failure to stop a peaceful transfer of power after the 2020 election as preparation for the 2022 and 2024 elections. They tried everything last time to nullify the votes of 81 million people. This time, they're determined to succeed in thwarting the will of the people. That's why respected conservatives like Federal Circuit Court Judge Michael Ludwig has called Trump and the extreme MAGA Republicans, quote, a clear and present danger to our democracy.
Guy just lies through his teeth. The only brutality there was done by the Capitol Police and the feds and the true insurrectionists that are part of the criminal regime in Washington, D.C. There were 1 million American patriots there that were peacefully assembled until they started shooting the crowd with rubber bullets, tear gas canisters, and flashbangs, and then inviting them into the Capitol. And they were such rabble-rousers, weren't they, when they went in the Capitol? I mean, shaking hands with the Capitol Police, posing for pictures, staying between the velvet ropes, and then leaving. That's what happened. No, Joe, the greatest threat to our constitutional republic is you and your godless woke cult that are exchanging law, order, independence, and freedom for tyranny. You're an abomination to this country and what it stands for, you and your evildoers. So after defiling the hallowed ground of Independence Hall last year on January 6th, Joe Biden plans to taint the hallowed ground of Valley Forge. Quick history on Valley Forge. It was December of 1777 when Washington and roughly his 12,000 soldiers took winter quarters at Valley Forge. You could literally tell the movement of the Continental Army by the blood in the snow left from their bleeding feet that lacked shoes. It was a brutal winter that was beyond ruthless. The Continentals were ill-equipped, lacked proper clothing, and were constantly starving and freezing to death. Washington lost over 2,000 of his men by spring to typhus, smallpox, and exposure. Yet most of his army survived the deadly winter and stayed the course in their quest to win America's independence by defeating the tyrannical government that was oppressing them. So here it is, and this article is up at the Gateway Pundit by Jim Hoft. Joe Biden plans speech on dangers of white supremacy at Valley Forge on anniversary of January 6th protest because all Trump supporters are white supremacists. This is just, he's going to do what he did last year and say the biggest threat to democracy is the MAGA Republicans. Just 100 million Americans that this illegitimate president is condemning. Think of this. 100 million Americans as the greatest threat to democracy. No, we're the greatest threat to your regime, to your criminal regime and your godless communist woke movement that's undermining the fabric of America and smothering our independence and freedom. Joe, you are literally the puppet for a tyrannical regime worse than the one our founders broke free from. And you are exactly the tyrannical government that our founders warned us to stay away from. George Washington would be appalled by you. And him, Sam Adams, and the rest of the patriots, if they were here right now, would be organizing a rebellion to destroy this tyrannical government. I can guarantee that. So it says further in this article, Saturday will be the third anniversary of the January 6, 2021 Fedsurrection, where Capitol Police officers fired on unsuspecting Trump supporters without warning and killed 3 Trump supporters through violence. A 4th Trump supporter died that day from a heart attack. No Capitol Police officers died in the riots. Indeed, it's the Biden communist and the woke cult that are the greatest threat to our God-given freedoms in the constitutional republic that our founding fathers blessed us with and shed their blood for, that we could have this great country. And so many other patriots, right? From World War I, World War II, Spanish-American War, Korea, Vietnam, the Gulf Wars, and all the other incursions that American patriots gave their lives for so we could have freedom and liberty and live the lives we choose. That's all under fire now, under this regime. Come November, folks, okay? If they taint the system again and we don't get the correct pick that the people actually voted for, I think there's going to be a rebellion. Either way, there's going to be a revolution, a civil war, whatever you want to call it, because the politicians had a chance to fix our broken electoral system that has been tainted badly by the radical left, to game the system and start selecting politicians instead of letting the people elect them. 2020 was a stolen and rigged election. And for the ones that doubt that, they should at least look at the polls and realize that most Americans now no longer trust the electoral process. And on that alone, they should restore election integrity so people trust the results. That's all we want, right? Certainly we want our guys to win, but if they don't and they lose fair and square, that's just the way it is. We got to fight harder the next time. But that's not where we are. So because the politicians have dropped the ball and decided to do nothing, we're heading for chaos this November. So the Biden regime that would like to really crack down with tyranny, take our gun, probably put us in concentration camps and do worse, to really take over this country and put the jackboot of tyranny on every law-abiding American's throat that despises this criminal regime. They're not going to do it with our military or the National Guard because they are loyal Americans and they've sworn an oath to the Constitution to go against all enemies, right? Foreign and domestic. They need a new army of people that will be loyal to the regime. And hence we're seeing this invasion of millions of fighting age men that have no stake in America, in the founding of this country, in our history, in our Judeo-Christian society. These are the stormtrooper army that they're building. And so listen to what Tim Pool just said.
A potential scenario I see is that Donald Trump wins, we cheer. It's a tough battle, but Donald Trump wins. And one of the first things he does is begin what will be the largest deportation effort ever seen.
Which he promised.
Which he promises. And then you will get videos and photos of the Trump administration and the National Guard and the Army rounding up immigrants, illegal immigrants, onto trains and buses. And of course, they're going to be held in camps and holding facilities. And then when the Civil War starts, they're going to show pictures of what Trump did with the immigrants to what Hitler did with the Nazis. And they're going to say, never again, don't let it repeat. And they're going to use that propaganda to rally people. Then the left activists will be able to go to illegal immigrants and say, would you like to defend your right to be here? Fight with us. So potential scenario. I'm not saying likely, probable. I'm just saying a potentiality is Donald Trump has promised the largest deportation we've ever seen. You have 8 to 10 million illegal immigrants and every day 10,000 more. Donald Trump will have to put them on trains and buses. They will have to be brought to camps. Chicago is already building camps. I want to stress this. Chicago, it got delayed. It's postponed. It may not happen. I'm not sure. But they announced they're going to be building a migrant camp. What do you think it's going to look like? Do people think these things are going to look like they're going to be slums? They're going to be places with limited resources where the people will be screaming and complaining, living in their own filth, and they're going to be confined to it because there's too many of them. The people of Chicago are complaining. What happens in that scenario where a civil war does start in 2025 or 6, and they use these images to make it look like Trump is Hitler, claiming he's doing it, it's happening again, blah, blah, blah. They already called the migrant detention centers concentration camps. This, what I'm saying here is not something I just made up off the top of my head. I'm saying AOC already said he has concentration camps. Donald Trump does. Donald Trump has already promised a deportation effort. Several cities have already announced they're going to build camps. Alex Jones called this, by the way, like 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah, he did.
He said that FEMA is going to set up detention centers likely for illegal immigrants. Yeah. 20 years later, we'll see. Maybe we'll add some more money to Alex Jones's right jar. But based on the pieces that are already on the table, I'm like, oh, combine them. Donald Trump mass deportation effort, mass illegal immigration, AOC and Democrats saying concentration camp. They are going to produce tons of propaganda to liken Donald Trump to Hitler to use as a rallying cry. After that, we speculate. If conflict breaks out, they're going to try and make it seem like World War II and they're the good guys.
I was onto something. I think that's a possible scenario. And the best scenario is, by the way, is the one he's laying out. We have to get Trump elected and then deal with the aftermath of taking our country back. And it may be civil war. It may be in the next American Revolution. I mean, kinetic events here in every state throughout the country. I think everybody should be preparing. Stock up on your super soakers and dog food, if you know what I mean. The dog food to feed the super soakers. Have a plan. Keep your head on a swivel from now on when you're out in public, because they're literally letting millions and millions of criminals into this country. It's not going to be business as usual as we get closer and closer to the election. But the best case scenario is unfortunately, the one that Tim Pool laid out. Because there's going to be a problem with the election. At one side, because our politicians have did nothing, are not going to trust the election. And the left is going to go berserko that Trump and his mega Republicans stole it. They're illegitimate. They're the biggest threat to democracy. He's going to lock you up, and, they're going to gin up all the, they lie through their teeth, right? And they've got the media to push this crap. But on a good note, there's more of us than there is them by far. Okay, by far. And this is our land. We know where every hill and ravine is, where every nook and cranny is on our property. This is our country, and we know how to defend it, and we will defend it. But we have to get Trump elected, and then if there is any kind of chaos, we have to quash it. I mean, the unfortunate thing is is I don't think the Democrats will do a damn thing except fan the flames of chaos if Trump wins. And they're going to have from Election Day in November till January when Trump is sworn in. You can do a lot of damage in that time, folks. But Trump will immediately get the military and the National Guard. If there's any kind of burning, any of the Antifa BLM chaos that we saw before, just ain't going to happen. But they could do a lot of damage before Trump has the power. And if Trump doesn't win, folks, maybe I'll do a full video on this at some point. But if Trump doesn't win, okay, if they steal it again, you are going to see what happened after the November 2020 election with censoring, arresting their political opponents at a whole nother level. We will completely lose our First Amendment rights. There will be no, they will wipe all these Patriot channels off of all social media. I wouldn't doubt that they just take X from any social media that's not pushing the propaganda will be, they'll just wipe it out or take it over. Rumble, Telegram, all of them. I mean, it will truly be the end of our republic. Complete totalitarian lockdown on liberty and freedom in this country. It will be the Orwellian nightmare, true to life Orwellian nightmare. So we just can't allow that to happen. But we're heading into troubled waters. All right, and we just gotta keep praying and keep prepping. Let me know what you think. I love reading your comments. Reagan said, and I've been sharing this quote because it just applies right now. If we lose freedom here, there is no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth. That's right. There is. If America falls to darkness, and there'll be that 1,000 years of tyranny that Reagan warned us about. So if you're new to this channel and can relate with the content, please subscribe, checkmark the notification bell, and give the videos a thumbs up. It helps push out the content. Please comment below. I do love reading your comments and try to read them all. May God continue to bless this great nation, and may the good Lord keep you and your family safe. Until next time, Sons of Liberty out. See you guys.